Imagine having like a holographic map of an entire country's curiosity. You aren't looking at topography or weather patterns. You are looking at pure human attention.
Yeah, watching exactly what millions of people care about right this second, and I mean knowing what they're going to care about tomorrow before they even realize it themselves.
Right. It's a staggering concept. And it completely changes how we view, well, our own online behavior. Welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
So today, we are stepping onto the observation deck of Team AI Lab. We've actually got our hands on the latest data drop. This is dated June 2nd, 2026 from their massive trend intelligence simulation.
It's a really fascinating data set.
Oh, for sure. We're tracking the behavioral heat of the Japanese market. But before we get into the actual numbers, we really need to be incredibly clear about the parameters of what we're observing here.
Yes, absolutely. The rules of engagement for this specific simulation are strict. What we are analyzing today is, purely an observation log of an algorithmic experiment.
Right, just an experiment.
Exactly. There is zero investment advice here. No trading induction, no financial forecasting of any kind whatsoever. We are exclusively dealing with trend intelligence.
So no stock picks.
None at all. We are mapping how human behavioral kinetics operate under, highly specific controlled conditions. We're tracking attention, not asset prices.
Okay, so if you're looking for a hot stock tip, you're definitely in the wrong place. But if you want to understand the invisible forces that dictate why, like an entire nation suddenly Googles the exact same thing on a Tuesday, stick around.
Because the overarching mystery this lab is trying to solve is actually deeply philosophical. It really comes down to one question.
Which is?
Are human beings fundamentally spontaneous, or are we just reacting to our environment like clockwork?
And to answer that, Team AI Lab has essentially pitted two distinct predictive philosophies against each other in this arena.
Right, a real strategic clash.
Yeah. So on one side, we have Team Rhino Titans.
Yep.
And their entire algorithmic model is built on this concept called structural stillness.
Which is a great term.
It is. They look at trends based on, static cyclical equilibrium. Their AI ingests decades of calendar data, seasonal shifts, institutional schedules, basically arguing that human behavior is structural and inevitable.
Opposing them is Team Falcon arrows, and their predictive model is built on kinetic propagation.
Right. Totally different vibe.
Completely. They don't care about the calendar. They track the sudden volatile wave. Their AI looks for dynamic spread, basically how fast a visceral human reaction to a sudden stimulus ripples through a population.
So, if I'm getting this right, if Rhino Titans is using a calendar to predict exactly when a boulder will naturally roll down a hill due to, erosion, Falcon arrows is using a highly sensitive seismograph to predict the sudden, unpredictable earthquake that dislodges it.
That's a really great analogy. There are entirely different ways of decoding human attention.
And seeing these two philosophies collide in the actual heat of the Japanese trend environment, it's a masterclass in behavioral psychology.
Because when you drop these predictive algorithms into the real world, the noise and the sheer chaos of daily life immediately test their core assumptions.
Which brings us to the first phase of the Volatility deployment.
Right, that hypothesis stage.
Exactly. Both teams have just dropped fresh keywords into the arena for a 10-day evaluation. They're placing their algorithmic bets on what is going to capture Japan's attention over the next week and a half. So what is Rhino Titans betting on?
Rhino Titans, again, banking on that structural stillness, has deployed a keyword from the finance sector. The keyword is Kabunushi Sukai, which translates to shareholders meeting.
Okay, on the surface, that sounds incredibly dry.
It does, yeah.
Why is the algorithm flagging, corporate meetings as a major behavioral heat source for early June?
Well, it's because of the deep underlying structure of the Japanese corporate calendar. You see, the vast majority of Japanese companies end their fiscal year in March.
Right, March 31st.
Exactly. And by law, they have a 3-month window to finalize everything, which means late June creates this massive concentrated bottleneck of annual shareholder meetings.
Oh, wow. So they all happen at once.
Yeah. Rhino's AI isn't just looking at finance professionals. It knows that millions of everyday retail investors across the country are about to receive these thick, physical envelopes in their mailboxes simultaneously.
So it's a physical trigger in the real world driving digital behavior.
Precisely. Starting mid-June, millions of people will just go online to check meeting schedules, figure out proxy voting rights, look at dividend proposals, and critically search for shareholder benefits, which are known as yutai in Japan.
Which is huge over there.
Massive. It is a predictable cultural rhythm. Rhino is predicting a slow, inevitable, structural rise in search heat as those physical envelopes land.
It's the ultimate clockwork play. But then we look at the opposing team, Falcon Arrows, the kinetic propagation model. They've deployed something that feels like it belongs in a completely different universe.
Oh, entirely.
Their new keyword is mushi, which means bug or insects under the nature category.
And this perfectly encapsulates their dynamic model. June in Japan isn't just corporate meeting season, it's the onset of Suyu, the rainy season.
Right, it gets super muggy.
You get a drastic, sudden spike in both humidity and temperature. And because of that specific environmental shift, insect and small arthropod activity, things like centipedes, cockroaches, it doesn't just gradually increase, it explodes into human living spaces almost overnight.
I mean, there is nothing quite like the sheer kinetic panic of walking into your kitchen at midnight, flipping on the light and seeing a massive bug spread across the floor.
It's terrifying.
That is the universal human experience.
And that visceral panic is exactly what Falcon Arrows is weaponizing here. They are betting that millions of isolated micro moments of panic people desperately searching for repellents, containment methods, pest control will generate a much hotter, faster trend wave than the slow, structural rollout of corporate mail.
Okay, let's unpack this though, because predicting bugs in summer seems almost, too simple compared to corporate finance. Is Falcon Arrows underestimating the complexity of the Japanese trend environment? Or is human discomfort just the ultimate kinetic trigger?
Well, that's exactly what makes this the perfect test. It pits cyclical structure against visceral human reaction.
Yeah.
It tests the fundamental nature of behavioral heat. Is it driven by cognitive planning or physiological response?
But, hypothesis only looks good on a sterile chalkboard. To see if human panic really does outpace a calendar, we have to look at the keywords that are already out there, getting battered by the actual market environment.
Active missions.
Right, the active missions. These are the units deployed days ago, currently navigating the mid-flight turbulence of human attention.
And this is where predictive logic gets swallowed by real-world friction.
Yeah, and looking at the real-time signal observations, the friction is brutal right now.
Yeah.
Let's look at Rhino Titan's active primary keyword. It's typhoon under the climate category.
Yeah.
It is currently sitting at a staggering average of plus 1,813.7%.
Over 1,800% growth. I mean, when a number scales that violently, it means it has ceased to be a mere topic of interest. It has become a mandatory behavioral focal point for an entire population.
Right, it's unavoidable. But then compare that to Falcon Arrow's active mission. Their primary keyword is Denkodai, which means electricity bill categorized under finance.
And it is absolutely drowning.
It's sitting at negative 65.6%.
The contrast between those two numbers beautifully illustrates how the rules of a trend environment can completely rewrite themselves in real time. Because look, Falcon Arrow's logic for Denkodai was incredibly sound on paper.
I agree, it makes total sense.
Right. As those early summer temperatures rise and humidity spikes, everyone turns on their air conditioning. Given the global economic climate, an electricity bill is a universal financial pressure. They predicted that anxiety would dynamically propagate.
Which, like I said, makes sense. Economic anxiety is incredibly kinetic. If rates go up, everyone talks about it. Everyone searches for ways to save energy.
But that kinetic logic completely collapsed under the sheer structural mass of the typhoon. In Japan, a typhoon isn't just bad weather.
It's an event.
It is a massive structural event that dictates everything from bullet train stoppages and supply chain halts to school closures and evacuation protocols.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, because if we look closely at that dynamic, it's almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs playing out in real-time data.
Oh, absolutely.
You can be deeply worried about your upcoming electricity bill all month, but the second a Category 4 typhoon makes landfall,
Right.
and you need to figure out if your local river is flooding or if you need to take your windows, the concept of a utility bill completely ceases to exist in your mind.
That is the exact mechanism at play. The structural reality of an immediate climate threat completely overwrites the kinetic spread of financial anxiety. Human attention, no matter how connected we are, is incredibly finite. We only have so much cognitive bandwidth. The market environment shifted radically mid-flight, and Rhino Titan's algorithm, the one designed to recognize massive, structural, seasonal threats, it won the attention war.
I mean, think about your own life. The crises that dominate your attention aren't usually the slow-burning anxieties. They are the immediate environmental realities right in front of you.
And that environmental determinism is what the active mission phase is proving so dramatically.
But even a typhoon eventually
It's
passes.
true.
So we've looked at the new bets and we've looked at the mid-flight chaos. Now we really have to look at the finish line. Let's transition to the mission completed phase.
The final outcome.
Exactly. This is the final, concrete 10-day trend outcome.
Yeah.
The return report where prediction is finally stamped by harsh reality.
And this phase is crucial because it highlights the dramatic gap between what an algorithm confidently predicted 10 days ago and how humans actually behaved.
Let's start with Rhino Titans. Their completed mission keyword was Bunasu, or bonus payment under finance. And it secured a final trend outcome of plus 4.6%.
Now, to someone listening, a 4.6% increase might sound completely insignificant.
Right, especially after we just talked about an 1,800% typhoon surge.
Exactly. But in the highly volatile realm of trend intelligence, securing a finalized positive outcome over a 10-day period is a massive victory for an algorithm.
Wait, really? How so? Because 4.6% feels like barely a blip.
Think of this keyword less like a blip and more like a deep underground river, or honestly, a lighthouse illuminating the dark. Over those 10 days, the Japanese trend environment was incredibly chaotic.
Sure, typhoons,
News cycles breaking, political scandals, those typhoons dominating the surface level of the internet. But despite all that deafening noise, Rhino Titan's structural model correctly identified a quiet, underlying current of human expectation.
the summer bonus anticipation.
Yes. Even while reacting to storms or daily stress, that steady structural hum of the corporate calendar kept moving forward. People still checked their company portals, they still planned their summer purchases. Rhino's model pierced through the chaotic surface weather and rode that quiet underground river to a positive outcome.
So it survived the noise, it adapted.
It did.
But unfortunately, we cannot say the same for Falcon arrows. Their completed keyword was Yami Beito, which translates to dark part-time jobs, categorized as a social issue.
Right.
And its 10-day trend outcome wasn't just bad. It was a total absolute collapse. It registered at negative 100%.
The kinetic momentum didn't just slow down, it completely zeroed out.
Okay, wait, I have to push back on the AI's logic here.
Yeah.
Because if you follow Japanese news at all right now, Yami Beito, these highly organized, illicit, and often violent gig jobs, is a massive ongoing crisis.
It's everywhere in the media.
Exactly. It is discussed by politicians, it's constantly on evening news broadcasts. How does a highly critical, heavily saturated social topic just drop to zero in a 10-day tracking window?
Well, it drops to zero because of a psychological phenomenon called attention fatigue. And it is the ultimate blind spot for an algorithm purely tracking kinetic momentum.
Attention fatigue.
Yes. Falcon arrows looked at the intense news coverage, the visceral shock of these crimes, and predicted a sustained viral wave of public curiosity and outrage.
They assumed high news volume automatically equals high search behavior.
Exactly, but they failed to account for how quickly the human brain normalizes a threat. The Japanese public is already highly aware of the Yami Beito issue. They know what it is.
Right.
So unless there is a radically new, unprecedented development within that specific 10-day window, like a major kingpin arrest or some shocking new active search behavior, simply evaporates.
So people are still watching it passively on the evening news, but they aren't pulling out their phones to proactively search for it anymore.
Precisely. Passive consumption is very different from active behavioral heat. The existing logic that a bad, highly visible social issue automatically generates high search volume was completely swallowed by the public's emotional bandwidth.
It's wild how fast that happens.
The public absorbed the initial shock, normalized the threat level, and then their active curiosity moved on to newer, immediate stimuli. Falcon arrows bet on sustained outrage, but human attention just doesn't work that way.
That is a fascinating, if somewhat bleak, reality check on how fast we collectively move on from critical issues. The rules of engagement changed mid-flight, and the social issue was just eclipsed by newer noise.
Which is exactly why these simulations are run.
And that actually brings us to the macro picture. Let's zoom all the way out from these individual keyword skirmishes and look at the overall season standings.
The big scoreboard.
Yeah, we were looking at the cumulative competitive analytics for this simulation. and the divergence on this scoreboard is profound.
It is a vast gulf.
Team Rhino Titans, riding their calendar-based model of structural stillness, is sitting at a cumulative plus 16,326.7%.
Massive.
Meanwhile, Team Falconaries, betting entirely on dynamic kinetic propagation, is sitting at negative 403.9%.
Now, when you look at those numbers, it is very easy to instinctively label Falcon Arrows a failure.
Oh, 100%. It looks like they got crushed.
Right. But if we connect this to the overarching mission of Team AI Lab, we have to entirely recontextualize what a negative 403.9% actually represents.
Okay.
In this specific scientific framing, this is absolutely not a defeat.
Right, because earlier we established that this isn't a trading floor, this is a laboratory mapping behavioral kinetics.
Exactly. In the realm of advanced trend intelligence, a massive negative divergence is vital, precious research data. Falcon Arrows isn't failing so much as they are mapping the exact boundaries of human reactivity.
Oh, I see.
By watching a major keyword like Yami Beto collapse by 100%, the AI lab learns the precise half-life of public outrage in Japan. They learn exactly how fast attention fatigue sets in.
So they actually need the algorithm to fail in order to calibrate it for the future.
That negative score is the raw, cold material required to decode the complexities of the public's cognitive load. Every loss in this arena is just data illuminating a blind spot in our understanding of human behavior. It is a deeply cold yet forward-looking research stance.
I genuinely love that framing. It completely removes the emotion and, like, the ego from being wrong and treats failure purely as a data acquisition mechanism.
It's pure science.
But taking all this in, we have to return to that core philosophical question we started with. So, what does this all mean? If Rhino's model of structural calendar-based stillness is crushing Falcon's dynamic reactive model by tens of thousands of percentage points, does that mean human curiosity is actually far more predictable and structural than we like to admit?
The data from this specific simulation heavily suggests that yes, we are. I mean, we all prefer to view ourselves as highly dynamic, unpredictable individuals surfing the web based on our own spontaneous whims and unique interests.
Right. We like to think we're in the driver's seat.
Of course. But Rhino Titans is effectively proving that the massive underlying tectonic plates of our shared environment, the changing of the seasons, the rigid corporate calendar, the extreme climate events dictate our collective curiosity far more powerfully than any sudden viral flash in the pan. The structure of our world guides the structure of our attention.
We really are just creatures of habit, walking perfectly in time with an unseen calendar.
And this data drop proves just how visible that calendar becomes when you aggregate millions of data points.
That is a phenomenal place to wrap up today's analysis of the June 2nd, 2026 data drop from Team AI Lab. We've watched a truly fascinating strategic clash today.
We really have.
On one side, we saw the dominant, undeniable force of predictable structural trends, the massive gravity of a typhoon, the quiet, steady anticipation of summer bonuses, the inevitable march of corporate shareholder envelopes.
And on the other side, we observed those volatile, kinetic sparks that struggled to find purchase in the rough seas of the market, the sudden, isolated panic over insects, the dread of electricity bills, instantly overwritten by weather, and the rapidly fading heat of complex social issues.
It is a constantly churning arena of human attention. And as we sign off, there is one final, somewhat provocative thought I want you to take away from this.
We navigate the internet every day believing our clicks, our searches, and our deep dives are entirely our own. But if an algorithmic model banking strictly on static structural stillness can outperform dynamic reactionary predictions by over 16,000%, it begs a very uncomfortable question.
Oh, definitely.
How much of your own online curiosity is truly yours, and how much is just you walking perfectly on time with the unseen calendar of your environment?
Something to seriously mull over the next time you find yourself opening a search bar to look up something you think just popped into your head. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the invisible forces driving the world's information flow, and we'll see you next time.